There are over 300 species of cobra in the world, but they're all united by one common feature, their signature hood. But how do cobras use their hoods? Let's take a look at this cobra here to find out. I think most people do and know that the hood is an actual part of the cobra's body. It's actually made up of two ribs that have expanded to form this protective shield for the snake. And when it comes to defending themselves, there are three ways that cobras use their hoods. The first way is pretty simple and obvious, as many of us probably know about it already. They use their hoods to scare off predators. Now, depending on which species of cobra we're looking at, they can vary quite a bit in size. The smallest species only reach around 2 feet in length, while the largest can grow to over 17 feet. So that means that their hoods also come in a variety of sizes. And some of these hoods can be over 4 feet wide, which is massive. Of course, animals that are larger usually also have larger heads. So while some of the smaller species may have small hoods relative to their body size, it's still big enough to scare off most predators. Now, cobras aren't very aggressive snakes by nature, so they would rather try to avoid confrontation than engage in one. So when they feel threatened, they will normally try to escape. But if escape is not possible, then they will rely on their size and their hood to intimidate the predator into backing off. And this seems to work very well, as most animals are wary of cobras and try to stay away from them. However, there are some predators that don't seem to care, such as mongooses, and these little guys are actually immune to cobra venom, which makes them natural enemies of the cobra. So while a cobra may be able to scare off most predators with its hood, it won't work against mongooses. So what else do cobras use their hoods for? Well, another reason is to amplify their threat displays. You see, cobras can't just rely on the size of their hoods to keep predators away. They also need to actively advertise the fact that they have those hoods. And that's where these two features come into play. Not only does this flattens the front end of the snake, giving it a more imposing appearance, but the scales along the top of the head are also modified to be more keeled or ridged. This creates a bumpy texture that helps to further enhance the cobra's intimidating appearance. And cobras will often flatten their heads even further than normal and display a hood spread when they're feeling extra threatened. When they do this, the hood can make up almost half of the total length of the snake, which is truly a sight to behold. And sometimes they will also add a few more theatrics to their display by doing a little dance. Cobras have these special neck ribs that allow them to move their heads independently of their bodies. And they will often use this ability to sway their heads side to side during a defensive display. All of these different measures that cobras take to advertise their hoods may seem like overkill, but it's important to remember that they are venomous snakes. And being able to warn off potential predators before being attacked is vital to their survival. So what else do cobras use their hoods for? Well, it turns out they also use them to regulate their body temperature. Now you might be wondering how exactly a cobra can use its hood to control its temperature. And the answer is pretty simple. See, cobras are cold-blooded animals, which means that they rely on external sources of heat to warm up their bodies. And one of the best ways to absorb heat is through a dark-colored surface. And guess what? Cobra hoods are usually a darker color than the rest of their body. So when they want to warm up, they will often flatten out their hoods and bask in the sun. Now you might be thinking that this could also make them easier targets for predators since they are sitting there with their hoods out. It's basically advertising the fact that they're cold-blooded and vulnerable. But this isn't really the case. As I said earlier, cobras are naturally very non-aggressive and will try to avoid confrontation whenever possible. So if a cobra is basking with its hood out, it's most likely that it's not feeling threatened. And if a predator decides to attack a cobra while it's basking, then that's their problem, not the cobra's. Cobras are fast-moving snakes when they want to be and can easily coil up and strike back at their attacker. So if they choose to do so, then good luck trying to escape a bite from a 17-foot-long cobra. Now, when cobras are done basking, they usually coil up and go back to being little squiggly snakes. But some species, particularly the king cobra, will actually keep their hoods out while they're hunting. And this is because keeping their hoods extended allows them to detect any movement around them much easier. Since they're always looking out for predators, they can't afford to miss any potential threats. And having a hood the size of a dinner plate definitely helps with this. However, even though cobras can use their hoods to help them hunt, it doesn't mean that they're always successful. In fact, many of them have to resort to ambush tactics because they not very maneuverable when their hoods are extended. This is especially true for the king cobra, which is the longest venomous snake in the world. Its massive size makes it difficult to move around quickly, so it prefers to lie in wait and strike its prey when it least expects it. And this is also when their hoods become useful again, because once they strike, their hoods actually help to contain the venom. You see, when a cobra bites, it injects a toxic venom into its victim, and this venom is extremely dangerous to humans. But the cobra doesn't want to waste any of its venom, because it takes time and energy to produce. So instead of letting the venom drip out of its fangs, the cobra will press its hood against its fangs to form a seal. This helps to keep the venom inside the wound and prevents it from leaking out. All in all, it's safe to say that cobra hoods are pretty useful tools. Not only do they help to scare off predators, but they also allow cobras to regulate their body temperature, improve their hunting abilities, and contain their venom after biting. So next time you see a cobra, take a moment to appreciate the amazing adaptations that have allowed these snakes to thrive in so many different environments. You enjoyed this video? Please leave a like. Thanks for watching. See ya.